your name?
Lily. You?
Ryle.
Thinking back to what I was always told.
Hello. And this we got another Real Reviews episode for you guys. I am Eddie Lingo, formerly known as Movie Lingo, now going by Legacy Lingo, and I'm here with my fiance Jessica.
Hello, fiance.
Yes, and we got a quite surprise for you. We actually want to discuss It Ends With Us, as you just saw the trailer. So I decided that we watched it together over the weekend, and I was like, us being in a relationship and then coming from relationships that have been maybe troubled, or we admit that maybe not had the best partners in the past, I really wanted to bring you on and be a part of this and this discussion. And of course, when you're dealing with a movie like this subject matter, you want a woman's perspective. In case you're not sure, if the trailer, of course, we don't want to get dinged on YouTube, so we can't show too much. But It Ends With Us. Basically, the plot is adapted from the Colleen Hoover novel. Lily is the main character, played by Blake Lively. She overcomes a traumatic childhood to embark on a new life. A chance meeting with the neurosurgeon sparks a connection, but Lily begins to see sides of him that remind her of her parents' relationship. Okay, and yes, this is that novel is again best-selling, as I just read. I'm about to mess up my little setup here, but it's okay. We'll get it back. Facts about that novel, because I actually did not know it was based on a book.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so that was some key information. That was great. But basically, the novel was number one on the Publishers Weekly adult list and number one overall in the first 6 months of 2022, selling a total of 925,000+ units, 925,221 units to be exact. Okay.
Impressive.
And, yes. And within its first 6 months. And it was also number one on the Publishers Weekly annual list, selling a total of 2.7 million copies that year. And then again in 2023, it sold another 1.2, or basically 1.3 if I'm rounding up. That's a lot of copies. So
It is.
yeah, this is something that was in high demand. This book was really making some moves, and it makes sense why they decided to make a movie on that.
Absolutely.
All right, so Jessica, tell me, what were your initial impressions when you saw this trailer, when you found out that this movie was coming out?
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, I didn't really know much about it. So my first initial reaction to it was, oh, I'm excited. I love Blake Lively. I'm going to go see this romantic comedy. It's going to be great. And I was looking forward to it. And then as the trailer kind of went on, I realized, like, oh, this is not the romantic comedy that I had envisioned at first. It was a lot more. It was a lot heavier. I think the entire audience responded the same way that I did, at least when I first saw that. Like, hey, I really want to see this, but this is a heavy movie.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my initial impression, when I first saw it, of course, I was excited to see Blake Lively on the screen. It's been a while since we've seen her in something, so I was super excited about that. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Super excited about that. And then when the shift of the trailer took place, I was like, oh, this is one of those. So my initial impression was, I don't know if I really want to put myself through that emotional strain, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's very telling of how good the trailer was. It kind of put me in a mood, in a space.
2 minutes to just get you there.
Yeah. So my initial impression was definitely like, I don't know if I'm gonna have the mental or the strength, the mental energy, or whatever to go through this emotional roller coaster. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was my initial impression. All right. So let's just go ahead and get into the review.
Yeah.
Let's talk without spoiling, to the best of our ability.
I'm going to do my best.
To the best of our ability without spoiling. Let's talk highs and lows, and of course, ladies first.
Thank you.
And then once you're done, I'll give my highs and lows, and then we can go back and forth with the things that we may want to say a little extra on or challenge on each other's review.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So after you, please.
Thank you. Highs for me, loved the cast. I thought they were brilliant. Really great casting. Again, because I didn't read the book, I didn't really have expectations of who I wanted in these roles. So for me, I was like, Blake Lively was amazing. I thought her best friend, Jenny Slate, was amazing. And I would say, other high is that it really took us on a journey, I would say. Lows for me, I would say, is the pacing. That was a big thing for me from the beginning, where I was like, okay, we're getting a little too much of the courtship, which we already kind of knew where this was going from the trailer. And then also just from their first kind of meet cute, and then from the beginning of the film. So it just kind of it lagged there for a little bit for me, where I was like, all right, let's get to it, to the meat and the potatoes of this movie. And then other lows for me, I wanted a little bit more with you can see from the trailer that she falls in love with Ryle, who is as the main love interest, but then it also showcases another love, which is spacing his name right now, Atlas.
Atlas was the character's name, played by Brandon Sklenar. If I'm saying that right, I hope so.
Hopefully.
Sklenar or Sklenar. I hope I'm saying it right. But go ahead.
I felt like they focused so much on Lily and on Ryle that I just wanted a little bit more of my man Atlas in there.
So that's pretty much the gist of it with your highs and lows, because I don't want to jump in there too soon unless you know.
I know. I'm sure I'm going to have other things that are going to pop up.
Okay.
You're going to say something, it's going to trigger it, and I'm going to say it.
All right. I'm gonna
Those are my first highs and lows.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so I'm gonna jump in there with same on the highs for me. I thought, of course, that this was shot beautifully. I thought the way that they told this story, it caught me off guard. I thought we were gonna get this straightforward thing, and of course they're giving us flashbacks, so I know we're gonna alternate back and forth. And I was already thinking, okay, here we go, the usual storytelling. But without spoiling anything, the movie actually gives you one perspective. Without all of the information, and then later gives you another perspective that is very revealing, very telling, and it was so refreshing to get the story that way, because I was really being led down a path, and I was like, man, this is interesting. I'm not gonna say what I was thinking because that will spoil too much, but I was definitely kind of caught off guard, and then when we got the other perspective, I was like, man, this was beautifully done. This is definitely a great way to tell this type of story. So that was a real strong high for me. Another high for me was the fact that the way it ended. I know that was one of your lows. You wanted more time with Atlas, but I felt like we already knew at a certain point what that story, where that was headed, so there was no need to give us a whole lot of that. We basically just needed to know that at least we got to that point, in my opinion. So I thought it ended great. I walked out of there feeling like, man, this really caught me off guard. As far as my lows, I will have to agree with you on the pacing situation. There was a lot in the beginning that they were establishing with Lily Bloom, Lily Blossom Bloom. What a fictional name! But that Blake Lively was playing, and then the love interest Ryle Kincaid, played by Justin Baldoni. I hope I said that name correct as well. We knew from the trailer, that they were going to get involved, and then there was going to be complications, and that Atlas was a key part of Lily's past. And so I felt like they did too much setting up, too much chasing and building up. I understand that after watching it towards the end, I still understand what they were trying to do. They wanted us to fall in love with them as a couple together. So the changes that we go through will impact us, and it did. But I felt like they could have cut about 30, maybe 40 minutes off and still got that connection. I felt like it was there. I felt like the writing was strong enough where it was definitely there. So that was a low for me. But to be honest, That's pretty much all I have. Did you have a rebuttal or anything? And I just said that you wanted to throw out there because I mentioned, I know you wanted more of Atlas.
I did. Well, to just kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, I think that's why I wanted less of that little montage of them, dating, because I wanted a little bit more backstory, as you were saying, younger Lily, younger Atlas, and then a little bit more in present day with Atlas.
Oh, you wanted more of the backstory because I felt like
they
they gave us a really good amount of flashbacks.
They did
on the backstory with Lily and Atlas.
They did. I will applaud them because, like I said, didn't know anything about the story, didn't know anything about the book. So they definitely got us there where I was like, okay, I have an understanding. I just wanted a little bit more. There were some more things, not to give any spoilers, where I was like, hey, I just want a little bit of, not necessarily closure, but a little bit more kind of telling about their journey and where they go in life.
Okay, I see you there because, and I don't want to spoil, but there is a point where we understand. They show us how they meet. Mm-hmm. They show us the moments, key moments, because every flashback, and that's another thing with the writing I was saying, every flashback had very strong significance to the scene. It was making sense while we were getting. They weren't just forcing this past love story. There were things that were happening in the present. And then when you got the flashback, there were either some words or imagery or things that were locking in where you'd be like, okay, I see why they're focusing so much on this, right?
Yeah.
But then they get to a point where once we establish that they have fallen in love as children, there's a fork in the road in their lives. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say, but they weren't. They basically are just the same age as us. So with the growth of technology and everything, social media, I was really surprised that they just never tried to reconnect,
right?
And that it took so long for them to find each other. That it was just I don't know. I know they wanted to build up this fate moment, but again, that was something that I thought was kind of it left a question,
Yeah, I was longing for that a little bit.
Yeah, you wanted to know why it took so long for them to reconnect.
Yeah,
and things like that. So I get you on that. If you wanted more of that backstory to see how they ended up being so disconnected.
Yes.
The situation that happened was unfortunate, but I don't feel like with especially them being in the era of us growing up, they're basically the same age as us, how they couldn't have within a few years tried to find each other and reconnect. And it's almost like they just gave up on it.
They did. Like, aren't you curious a little bit? Life is going on. Maybe you check in here and there. We all do it.
And so I guess that would be another low for me. There's moments like that where you can tell you're pulling strictly from fiction because I don't feel like there's enough reality essence in there. Like I'll give you an example. When Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's character, Ryle and Lily, when they first met, I didn't feel like there was an opportunity for any chemistry because of how they met. I'm not going to spoil it, but you very early on get glimpses of his temperament and his anger issues. And like I read from the synopsis, if she's getting glimpses of things that remind her of her parents' relationship, that moment right there, in my opinion, would have triggered her to not want to be in his presence because it reminds her of something that's too familiar that she doesn't want to go back to.
Absolutely. It's a huge red flag.
Right. But in today's age, he was such a beautiful specimen. That's probably why she stuck around, but I still feel like it wasn't really believable for them to get that far into that type of conversation. Even if it was in a book like that, I would have wrote it differently where after seeing that little flare up, maybe she is like, okay, excuse me.
Not interested.
Nice meeting you. I'm going to let you have this space and I'm going to move on. And then they maybe run into each other. Now, the length that we got of them getting to the point of the relationship, it would have made more sense if he was still trying because he didn't get the chance to have that and let her know, hey, that's not who I am or whatever. But that's me nitpicking.
It's true. It's true. Because overall, it really was, like you said, it was beautiful. They really did a beautiful job. I felt like showcasing this romantic side of things and how quickly things can become so passionate, to also bridging into how toxic and how complex abusive relationships are and the process of that.
Right. Which is another thing I wanted to point out. I'm sure because we've seen and we've heard that there are a lot of elements from the book that are missing.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
in my opinion, I haven't read the book, so I could be speaking way out of turn, and let me know in the comments, attack me. I'm ready for it. But I will say that I believe that there's probably a lot of more negative situations in a relationship that were probably in the book. And the way they told the story in the movie, if we would have gotten those moments, we would have then been disconnected and more frustrated. Like, why are you still there? Why
Yeah,
haven't you left yet?
absolutely.
But the way they tell this story, they kind of make you see it through a different lens, and you kind of understand that this could have been a misunderstanding, or maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's not that bad.
This was an accident.
Right. Maybe this was an accident. And the way they tell the story, it actually has you kind of questioning as well. And if they would have kept going with those key moments from the book, and that's me assuming that that's what's missing, then we would have gotten to a point where it's like, girl, what are you doing? And we would have lost connection. So then when they would have got to the point of it finally happening, it wouldn't have been as powerful as it was. And that's all I'm going to say with not spoiling. It was a powerful moment of realization.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely looked at you in the theater like, oh, okay.
I see now. It was a very powerful moment of realization. And instead of us being like, duh, like yelling at the screen like she's stupid.
Right.
We totally understood like, oh man. And that's... that was
got us in the feels.
Got us in the feels for sure. And there's also a little sub backstory with her still reconciling how she feels about her dad and her mom's relationship. And I was glad that we did get some bit of closure with that. And I won't say how, but that was a moment there that I thought that they kind of forgot about, and we get it. And I was like, you know what?
I very much appreciated it.
That was very well done.
It was very real.
Very real, very well done. It was beautiful.
It was.
Now, let's talk about the guy, Atlas, the character. When I saw him in the trailer, I recognized him and I was like, okay. I did not realize that he was going to just like clench my heart so fast.
I know.
I just figured, of course, he's the knight in shining armor. Yeah. But his passion, his intensity, was also something I thought was well written, because
it was.
It was not something that she really wanted. Also, because he was ready to set the world on fire for her. And she was like, whoa, whoa. And I loved that. I related to it because, that's how I feel about you. If anybody wrongs you, the world better watch out.
I got a good one, guys.
So I was instantly feeling the character, and I thought in that short amount of time we got him, made perfect sense. Then the flashbacks on top of that built him up even more so. So I can see why this book sold the way it did, word of mouth, more people going to buy it. I can see why they decided to make a movie.
That's why I wanted more of it.
Well,
I mean, and now it makes sense. Now I know who directed the film, Justin Baldoni, who played
we
Ryle.
may have a mixed opinion on that, but Justin Baldoni, who played Ryle, he directed this.
Yes, he did.
Surprise, surprise. Okay, so which I didn't know that. She just brought that to my attention.
Right.
And you're thinking that he wanted to make sure he was seen. He got his moment, and then as a director, he made sure that's why the story played out the way it did.
Yeah. We got enough of this guy. He's great. Let me put myself.
I hear you.
I'm just kidding.
I hear you, but I really think that the reason we got so much is because they wanted us to fall in love with them as a couple, and then they wanted us to struggle with the break, struggle with leaving as well.
Yes.
They wanted us to struggle with her character.
Yeah.
With walking away.
It's true. And maybe that's just me, wishful thinking of like, instead of turning this into a 2-hour movie.
It was long.
It was long.
It was
they tried to force a lot in there.
Yeah.
So it did. There were moments, even though at the beginning I felt the pace was too slow, then I felt like we rushed through a lot of it as we, got into it. So maybe maybe turning this into an 8-episode series. I would have gotten all my moments.
I would love to see this as a series,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't have been able to get us with. I don't know how long they could have gone with the different perspectives, but
Yeah,
now that's
yeah.
the challenge I would like to try and meet.
Mhm.
I have to reach out to Colleen and they'll be like, "Hey, listen,
Hey.
you want Colleen Hoover? You want to do a series? Like, who are you? I'm nobody, but I can still do it. You know what I'm saying? But
And do it well.
thank you.
Mhm.
So, excuse me. So I do think the trend, us having trouble with the breakup, or
Mhm.
wanting us to, because we already knew what was coming, so it wasn't. And I think that's
Yeah.
what made it great. Even though we already knew that it was going to get worse, we were still kind of
We were invested, yeah.
feeling out because
Yeah.
I was like, is it really that bad? Like, oh man, you just got to see
You
it.
gotta see it.
I'm not gonna say anything else because I'm gonna end up spoiling this thing.
I know. They
Um,
did. They did a beautiful
They did a
job.
beautiful job with the different perspectives and telling the story, and I'm beating it over the head for that. So, in real reviews fashion, which I with the movie this soft and this beautiful, I almost feel bad throwing up this rating card. Oh, because it's so aggressive, and then we're trying to get away from violence. And we got the executioner here. So, Jessica, I would like to know, is it a classic? Is it a good watch? Is it catch on streaming? Is it not doing it for me? Is it oh hell no? Or if you ever show me this again, I will slap you. Okay? Do you need to look at it a little bit longer before you give your rating?
No, I think I'm ready to give my rating on
Okay.
that one.
Tell me what your rating is.
So for my rating, I think I'm gonna go with it's a good watch.
That's right below classic. That's right below the best. So it's a good watch.
It's
okay.
a good watch. I definitely felt all of the emotions. I was relating it to things that, I've seen in my past, in my life with family members, friends. It definitely hit me where I was like, this is brilliant writing, and it was beautifully portrayed, and I loved the actors. I don't know if it's the type of movie where I could say it's a classic that I want to go back multiple times and watch that, because it is hard. It's hard to watch. It's a heavy, heavy movie. I mean, there are so many beautiful moments, but I don't know that I could necessarily say I could go back and watch that over and over again. But it's definitely one I think you need to watch. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Good watch. That's a very strong rating. So, again, I'm going to go over it again for those of you who are new to the show. Is it a classic? Good watch. Catch on streaming. Not doing it for me. Oh, hell no. Or if you ever show me this again, I will slap you. Okay. So, my rating. I'm all gassy. And it's not emotions. I'm gassy for real.
He's emotional.
So.
It's okay, baby. I got you.
Thank you. My rating is also, it's a good watch. I was this close to giving it a classic because of the way the story was told. But the length in the beginning, it definitely took away. They could have cut back like 30, 40 minutes. They could have shortened up that, establishing that relationship. I thought it was, the characters were written well enough where we would have fallen in love with them still. They were giving us such great moments.
Absolutely.
But I still thought it was a phenomenal watch. So definitely going to give it a good watch. I think everybody should give this a shot. It is a very heavy movie. There were some scenes that because of it, I will not watch it again. They were hard to get through. When it got to that point, it went there, and it was very uncomfortable. And so be warned to anybody who may have been in a similar situation and may be triggered, or I would not recommend going to watch this if you're not ready to sit through an atmosphere like this. But if you think you're ready to move past it, if you're ready to watch a story that may inspire you, then I definitely say go see it. Get a group of friends, go out there, everybody hold each other's hand, watch it. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe have a girl dinner or something. I don't know.
We love a good girl dinner.
Yeah, of course.
And empowerment.
Empowerment. Yeah. So this is definitely a good watch, and I highly recommend it. And I love this movie. Honestly, I was this close to giving it a classic. That close.
Same.
All right. So, if you don't have anything else to add, we can wrap this up and then let these people go see this movie.
Go see it. Go watch it.
You got anything else?
I love you.
Oh, I love you. Man, this
has been amazing.
And we got to do this more often because I love this. I'm with my favorite person talking about my favorite thing, movies. Yeah, this is a classic
is
moment.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I will be back.
Yes, she will. And you guys need to let us know in the comments. Go ahead and tell us if you did watch it. How did you feel about it? And then also let us know how you felt about this review. And if you want to spoil a few things and go ahead and just really let it all out. Let us know if you can relate to anything. If you disagree or agree with us, we want all of that.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, It Ends With Us with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. I hope I said his name correct. It is now in theaters, just came out on August 9th. Thank you for joining us for another Real Reviews. I'm Eddie. This is Jessica. And we'll see you on the next one.